Today I thought I would share a little bit about a skill and a practice that has been life changing for me and continues to support me in every part of my life and is something I'm especially leaning into right now. I'm also going to share some vulnerable personal stuff. So, yesterday I created a video where I was sharing that I felt like I was coming down with a cold or something like that. And even though I have lots of remedies, I think I was around somebody, a friend who is also sick, and that might have been where I caught it. But my immune system, in my experience, when we catch someone's cold, our immune system is already compromised before that. And I have not been getting enough sleep. I mentioned that, I believe, as well. Yeah, I've just been like a dog at a bone on some things that I'm creating, and it's just been my experience as I'm building my own online business as an entrepreneur, as a Gen X woman, as a woman who has spent so many years inside organizations building other people's missions and dreams. It's a very powerful thing to be doing my own, and it's full of so many challenges. And I'm wondering if there's an opportunity for me to be really more transparent and sharing about that. So we'll see how this builds. But so last night I didn't sleep well. I have a lot of really great remedies. I mentioned the Umka. I actually forgot to link it. I'll have to do that. And I have the wellness formula. I take a lot of the liquid kinds because I like to take the liquids because I like to put it in water and just drink it down. I also took some other of these things that are like osolium. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it did help the symptoms. And I am still taking stuff like every 4 hours, but it's here. And one of the challenges that I experience when I'm under the weather, and I feel like I was thinking about this yesterday, unless like I'm really like COVID and probably way back, will I be sleeping? Like probably if I have a fever. But otherwise, I'm not even good at resting when I don't feel good. I end up watching TV or something. So, anyways, last night I had every intention of having a good night's rest. I didn't have any NyQuil or anything. I ordered that. I'm waiting for that to come. But I started to feel really drowsy and I got into bed. But because I had drank so many liquids, my bladder kept waking me up. And I think I maybe slept 3 hours. So a few hours ago, I got myself together and I got cleaned up. I took a shower, washed my hair, and changed my clothes. And I went out to get some food just to have a couple of staples here for myself. And I took an Advil cold and sinus. I think I mentioned that too. That has been something that helps manage the symptoms. And it's starting to wear off now. So you probably hear that in my voice. And I was sneezing a little bit. I'm also drinking. I do. I love me some emergency. And actually, yesterday I went to um, TJ Maxx, Home Goods. That was my mom's favorite store. And I bought two of these glasses. I like the little gold rim. It was just kind of like a way to treat myself, to have something pretty to drink. I have I don't have a lot of stuff like this because I don't like to have a lot of excess, but I have a very kind of clean, simple aesthetic with dishware and glasses. So I thought I don't know. I've been wanting to invite more gold into my life. So I got these, and they're making this experience a little bit sweeter. I'm sitting on my couch, and what I wanted to share about is neutral observation. And I want to give you a little bit of context first, and why I wanted to share this is that the last time I was sick, last time I had a cold, was the end of March, early April of 2024. And it was also the last time I saw my mom before she passed away. And so I'm just kind of sitting in that. I'm aware of that. I shared in my video yesterday that in the past, I have experienced bouts of like just deep sadness and depression when I'm not feeling good. I think because it's like the activity isn't there, or yeah, I mean, I don't even want to analyze it. It's old and I'm not feeling that. Excuse me. I'm not feeling that as much right now. I can't physically, I'm a little weary for sure and not 100%. That's okay. But what I am thinking about and what I have been present to is my mom. My mom passed away suddenly at the end of July in 2024. Her health had been declining, but it was sudden, and I definitely thought I was going to see her again. And I think about 10 days before she passed, I let her know I wasn't coming back for her birthday, and I have I have some regrets about that for sure. That could make me cry. But my mom and I, and my brother, but my mom and I have we're so close my whole life, and I can see so many different dimensions of it now. My mom was a boomer, and she was one of four. She was the oldest of four. Her parents were married until my grandma passed away, and but I think because she was the oldest of four, in the way the family was constructed back then, she didn't really get the kind of demonstrative love that she needed, that I think every child needs. Her parents were loving people, but I just don't think parents did that as much naturally with children. And I don't think she got that. And her life is really interesting. I have a couple ways that I want to tell her story at some point. But I was already on my own healing journey, and that trip when I got sick, I had it's so interesting. I She had a fall in almost 2 years to the date before she died prior, and she was not in good shape, and I had never seen her like that, and I don't think we weren't sure she would ever kind of come back, but she did. Excuse me. And I made like 5 trips in 7 months to see her. She lived in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And yeah, where am I going with this? So I'm a little foggy. So I want to be my intention is to be focused. What I'm present to is that I went to go visit her, and I had planned to see her and my brother. When I arrived, she'd actually made dinner. She wasn't doing a lot of that stuff, but I think she really rallied because my mom was always like a host. She was always creating experiences. That was like one of her love languages and something that she did so well. I mean, her holiday parties before that, her Oscar parties before that, her Halloween parties, like she had a reputation for creating really, really cool, fun parties. And she created three actually amazing birthdays: her 50th, her 60th, and really her 70th. But the 50th and 60th were amazing. One was at this place, this bed and breakfast that she had gone to for years, and her whole family came out. And then the second one in her 60s was at a villa in Italy. And my mom didn't have a college education. She just got into the job that she was in before they stopped letting people without college degrees enter, and she was always really proud of that. I think her last salary was like $72,000 before she retired. So it took her a while to get there, but she did pretty well for herself. She bought a few pieces of property, and she was always proud of that. And that birthday in Italy was amazing. But you can do those things without it costing. It's this country that's so crazy expensive. And anyways, I went to go visit her, and I didn't notice at first, but pretty soon thereafter, I could tell that she had a cold. And she had that cold. And I don't know that I would have changed my ticket, but I definitely would have prepared myself. Because I'll do everything I can to avoid getting a cold. And then especially, I was definitely in an emotional place. I was just starting to build this business. I was feeling a lot of conflict around her and me because I was having a hard time reconciling what I wanted to do and what I wanted to create, and feeling conflict with being more with her I never wanted to live in Pittsburgh. I tried to convince myself of that. Excuse me. And I remember having a conversation with her before I left, and I shared some of that with her. And it's because she just wasn't making good choices for her health. She had really declined, and I grew up in a very healthy home. Like, there was no fun food in my house growing up. I mean, it was a thing. I loved spending the night at friends' houses because I would get all their processed food. I got their bags of chips and their Twinkies and all that stuff. I still remember, I can see it right here in my mind, the processed meat on the white bread sandwiches. My mom did none of that. I was taking like adult vitamins in elementary school with a disgusting protein drink. So, and now, of course, I'm so grateful for that. But at some point, I think because my mom just didn't really physically ever do a lot of exercise after her 30s ish, she just didn't maintain anything. So then she slowly declined, and she started gaining weight as a result of that. And food was definitely her addiction, but she never had a real weight issue. It was only as she got older and stopped moving as much, with what happens with the body, that she started gaining more and more weight. And towards this part, when she had the fall, she was not in good shape. And she was out in California for a little while, so that's a different story. But she had just gone back. She had kind of forced the sale of this place that she was now living in, because it wasn't actually what she wanted. But my mom never could like slow down. She had, and I now know, like, that's her nervous system. She did not have any awareness about how her wounds and her trauma that she went through how that was impacting her and running her life. Her generation just didn't do that kind of work for the most part, and she didn't. So she pushed the sale of this property so that she could land, because it was so uncomfortable for her not to have a place. And she had already been back in Pittsburgh for many, many years, but she had come out to California. I think she was considering coming back and moving in with her friend in San Luis Obispo. And then COVID hit, so everything just kind of like unraveled. But that San Luis Obispo thing didn't really work out for long term. And when she went back, housing was more expensive than she had planned. So she had only been in that place for about 6 months, but it was only there a couple months before her health started declining. But because I wasn't near her yet, and I hadn't seen her since Christmas of 2021, I didn't really understand. I had never gone down this aging path before with anybody. I had never experienced her this way. So when she had that fall and I showed up, and like right a couple of days after she fell, it was like life-changing. And that was the beginning of shifting our relationship. And then that conflict continued to build. Somewhere over that time frame, I end up leaving my last in-house role. And after a few months of looking for something and not really having any success, it's because I realized I didn't want to keep doing that. I wanted to do something on my own. So I started building that. But I was always in this conflict because I wanted to take care of her. My whole life, I realize now, more and more and more, emotionally, I felt overly invested in her happiness. And that's a lot of other stuff that I won't get into today. But the last time I had a cold was the last time I saw my mom. And even though she wasn't the same the last 2 years, it's also the last time I've had a cold and I didn't get to call my mom and say that I don't feel good, And it's just an interesting thing. So I've already shared a lot about my story. It's 14 minutes. And if you're still here, thank you. I appreciate you so much. And I want to share a little bit about neutral observation, because that's really what I'm leaning into today. So neutral observation is a practice and a skill that I learned as part of my master's degree in spiritual psychology over 25 years ago. It's actually the foundation of my TEDx talk that I'm still in the process of applying for. And because it's just been so powerful. And essentially what it is having a practice that then becomes literally a natural part of my MO, my modus operandi, of observing myself, of neutrally observing myself and others, but from a place of just neutrality. postponing judgment. The mind immediately wants to assess, wants to evaluate, wants to make meaning out of everything, wants to judge. That's what we have been habitualized to do. But when we start to interrupt these things and we invoke something different, then we can make that become a little bit more of our default setting. And this skill, which I think it was called, we had an observation journal. I don't know if it was called neutral observation. I think it was observation. And then it was about neutrally observing. And we had a journal, and we were, as part of this 1 year of the program, we were like keeping a journal and observing it. And then at the end of the week, we were looking at what did we see? What were the trends? What were the themes? What did we notice? And all we were doing, all I was doing as a participant was just noting, as often as I remembered and decided to, I would just note at the end of the day, what did I notice? What did I notice about myself today? How did I engage in my life? What if something happened that day that, like, and it could be something from, my routine and how that impacted me, to an interaction with somebody that was challenging for me, to noticing when I went on a walk, how my entire mood shifted, and like noticing that. It's like just noticing. And now it is very much part of my default setting, and it comes in handy a lot because we create so much more lack of health, I would say, through our mind and our judgments, and how we just are so, I believe we all are, but especially women, especially high achieving women, just so hard on ourselves. And that's something also, I think there's scientific research that says that we have like a negativity bias. I'm really interested to debunk that, because I feel like that negativity bias has also been created by society, and we could create something different. So I'm just bringing that forward. I wanted to share that because it's a skill, and it's a practice I'm trying to hold close to me right now, because in the past, getting sick or not feeling good and the things that it removes me from could in the past would trigger like just a depressive episode. And also the last time I got sick, my mom was alive. So those are things that, and if that were to happen, I would want to neutrally observe that too. I also know that doesn't usually create well-being. It can sometimes take me further down. That being said, the neutral observation is my intention, and I believe that will help me in not necessarily creating and subscribing unconsciously or to a depressive episode, because I'm creating the awareness, and I'm setting an intention to just observe and to allow myself to just be in this experience for however long it takes, which is usually, if we rest, won't take too long. Excuse me. So neutral observation is a power tool, and I do talk about it on TikTok a lot, and I want to shout it from the mountaintops, because I think that one of the biggest opportunities that we have in society is that we do not know how to witness ourselves, and self-awareness and emotional intelligence, all of that comes from our ability to actually see things. But if we see things and we immediately go to assessment, we're making an assessment with the lens that we have, versus slowing our roll and just noticing and just observing neutrally, and making that your first pact with yourself, that you're just going to notice, because you will gain so much more altitude. You will create less challenge, less drama. It won't snowball. You'll be able to see things more clearly. That's what happens when you start to practice neutrally observing. It allows you to be a little bit more objective, and it also supports what I've shared before, is being not a human with a soul having a human experience, and everything that's happening is part of that. But most of what we see in the world, or most of what you experience, is how you filter things through your lenses, your eyes, and your eyes are seeing things through your history, your cultural background, your belief system. All the meaning you made consciously and unconsciously is your filter. And if you've ever heard about the RAS, or the reticular activator system, that is essentially something that's going to continue to look for what it's aware of already. It's like when you get a new car and then all of a sudden everybody on the road is driving your car. That's the reticular activating system. It's a natural part of the brain. So that's also how we often will attract and make true what may not be true, but we can create that, because if we're looking for it, we will find it. Like they say, you will always find what you're looking for. So neutral observation is a power tool. It changed my life. It continues to change my life. It took away so much suffering. It allows me to be much more present. It allows me to be a better, like, just citizen. It allows me to be a healing agent instead of somebody that's, getting stuck in the neuroses that can happen. And it allows me to be a more effective communicator. It has helped me lead better. It's like, if you think about it, if you were just to observe that part of us, how many stories you're making up, like relationships, like we are constantly deciding what the other person feels when we have no idea what they really feel. But it's like so fascinating. We're thinking about what they feel instead of thinking about our part, what's here for us. Those are all the ways that we've been habitualized, but we can shift that and change that. And the world will look a lot different if people had some of these skills, because it's a restorative skill. It's a really powerful, I didn't really say that, but, and I'm going to wrap this up, but that's one of the most powerful benefits, is that when it's like in a way the powerful benefit of meditation. Part of what's powerful about meditation is that neutrality, is getting to that place where you're in that parasympathetic nervous system and you're just in that rest and digest. Well, it's a very restorative place to be. It's a place where you're not conflicted. You're not split. You're not in that polarity thinking. You're just there. And it's not as taxing. And when you start to, because we don't have as much of that really, and we're living in such a busy, frenetic world and all these things with the devices, so since that is actually not our default and it's not our dominant experience, then when you practice that, like meditation, you start to bring another level of your own experience of being in yourself, in your life. And that dimensionality that then you can become experientially connected to, it starts to build your self-esteem. Because when you're in that sturdy, steady place, that calm, that presence, not only because it's unique, but because it's so grounded, it's confidence inducing, and it's like, it's maturing. It's like all these things that bring you into this frequency that is very, very, very powerful. And I experience it as being very medicinal and very like constitutional building. And when you experience this, when you experience your own growth, your own inner growth, it is phenomenal. It is phenomenal. So thank you for listening. I hope tomorrow when I do, because this is day 10, so I hope tomorrow when I do day 11, I will be more symptom free. Who knows? And that's my intention. And I'm committed to this process of daily YouTube videos. And I started to not edit, because I feel like that's an opportunity for me to lean into and to just be with this for at least 30 days until I decide to do a whole lot more with it. But thank you for listening. My name is Jennifer Herrera. I appreciate you so much. And until next time.